I'm Victoria and welcome back to the Victoria's Wool Podcast. I believe this is episode 28. Pretty sure about that this week. I wanted to come on and talk about the pattern that is coming out in a couple days. My Farmers Market Mittens are finally being released. It's these guys. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the details of this pattern and show you the second pair I'm gonna knit. I got this yarn at the last fiber show I went to, which I believe was in 2019. I went to Knit City, and a friend of mine found a booth, drug me over to it. Custome Woollen Mills. They're a yarn and they're a Canadian processor, and their yarn is really affordable, especially if you are paying with US dollars too. You get really good value for what you're getting, and we got a lot of Custome Woollen Mills. This is my second pattern released in their yarn. Meet Cute, my big shawl, blanket shawl, which is right here. I used their soft spun bulky weight to make a big blanket shawl. I think I talked about either last time or the time before. I can't quite remember, but I've been posting about it on my Instagram stories and feed a lot because it's the perfect time of year to knit something big like that, where you need a blanket on your lap and you might as well knit, and the blanket will keep you warm while you're making it. Anyway, this is their mule spinner 2-ply fingering weight yarn. Also a woollier yarn. I wouldn't say rustic. Rustic kind of brings to mind like scratchiness, and it's really very soft. The more you wash it, the softer it gets. A lot of farm yarns are like that. And I just love the subtlety of the textures that you get with yarns like this. So the cables aren't as smooth or crisp as they would be on a like merino or something, and I'm sure someone's going to make these with a smoother yarn and it's going to look beautiful, but my aesthetic is definitely more woollier, softer, subtle textures, and it's perfect for this yarn. So the mittens start out with a rib cable. Each size is different because cables are set. You do cables with a set number of stitches, so I had to write a different repeat for each size. The pattern comes in small, medium, extra small, small, medium, large, and extra large, which I believe goes from hand size. You measure around your hand, just above the thumb, and I believe the sizes are from 6.5 inches to 8 is the range. And then after you do the cuff, which you can make shorter, by the way. I had some people ask me about that, and I am making a second pair. I'm swatching right now. I'll show you in a sec with a different yarn, and I'm going to make my cuff a little shorter. To me, it really matters how long the cuff is, because I have really long arms, usually for sweaters, and I was going to say shirts, but I don't make shirts. When I make a sweater, I generally have to add like 3 to 4 inches extra on the length on the sleeves, right at the wrists. So I like a longer fingerless mitten. The other pair I made, Zever, the other pair of fingerless mittens I designed, which is called Zever, also have a really long cuff, but you can always make it shorter. There's really no difficulty in modifying when you stop cabling. So just pay attention to the last row the pattern says to do, which is a cabling row, so that when you go from cables to the reverse stockinette, it'll look the same regardless of how long you make your cuff. So I think I'm going to make mine about half the length, because wearing these to Farmers Market, which I sell at Farmers Market every Sunday, where my winter coat hits on my wrist, they overlap, which I thought would be great, except for my current coat has like a really tight cuff that doesn't, the mitten fits underneath it, but I think it would be easier to take it on and off, which I do all the time because I have to wash my hands when people give me money. And I take my mittens off when I'm going to do anything like with the tent or whatever, because I don't want them to get, I was trying to protect them and keep them from getting too worn before I release the pattern, which I kind of succeeded at. Anyways, I think the second pair will kind of look like this, and it'll sit just a little bit closer to, yeah, so that my coat will be right there. Anyways, those just a small particularity for me. Then I said they go into reverse stockinette, and you've got this lovely thumb cable that starts the cuff and goes all the way up the hand. Maybe it'll show better if it's just hard for me to show the inside of my. There's really good pictures of it on Instagram and on the pattern pages on Ravelry, and black and white actually shows it really well. Black and white photograph shows it really well. Yeah, so you could do that little thumb cable up to the top, and you'll do a little ribbed cap for the thumb. And then the fun thing, I think it's fun, is that after you separate the thumb stitches and you continue just in this little section here, the hand, you get to this part before the flap and you start working on the wrong side. You do one single short row stitch, which turns you to the wrong side of the work, and you start cabling on the wrong side. You do that because lots of my testers wanted to know why I had that in there. And the reason is because when you flip it over, this little flap, you want the cables to be on the outside. So you have to cable them on the inside. And when I was coming up with this pattern, I remember it was September, I think, of last year. And I wanted originally to do, I love reverse stockinette. I think it looks beautiful. It's, I think, a more like homogeneous fabric than like knit stitch, because knit stitch you have the V's, and if you pull or stretch a knit stitch, a stockinette fabric out, you'll often like see the space between them, and that really doesn't happen with reverse stockinette. So it just sort of gives a more cohesive stitch pattern. But anyway, when I was designing these, I originally wanted to do the cuff on the right side and then turn the mitten inside out at that point and just knit so that you could still be knitting, but what's not going to be on the outside would be the purl stitches. The problem with that is I wanted this cable on the thumb too, and I would have had to have cabled on the inside, but it wouldn't have. I was trying to think if like there was a way. I remember what I think about. Is there a way that I can cable it on the wrong end so I could do it? And I was like, oh, no. It's getting too complicated. The answer is no. If I can't have reverse stockinette on the outside of the work, on the outside of the mitten, and have a cable up the thumb. That just doesn't go together. So you have to purl, but really it's a very short distance of purling. These, I could probably make one of these in a day. It's like super quick. I used a size 2, and I think the stitch gauge is 6.5 stitches per inch. So it's pretty quick. Anyways, I was saying, you turn the work, start cabling on the inside so you can flip your cable flap over. And I'm really happy with these. I think I've mentioned in a previous episode that they're super warm. Like there's no problem with me with having my fingers exposed when I'm out at market. We're outside in the street for 5 hours, and even on really cold days, like my hand does not get cold. And I think I told that story of being out on a really cold day and thinking that it must not be that cold out because my hands are not cold. So I took my mittens off, and then my hands they got cold because that was the mittens that were keeping them warm. So I was like, ah. And woolly wools do that. They're just warmer. So I'm very happy with these. I would say I probably wear them down mostly, I think. I do like it flipped up. I think that's cute. Because you do need your fingers when you use your phone to take transactions online. But yeah, I think they look good both ways. The pattern will be available. I'm going to assume that this is going to come out after the pattern release. Is coming out on February 4th, which is a Friday. Early in the morning, it'll be available on Ravelry and my website. And the name of it is Farmers Market Mittens, if you need to search by name. And I started swatching last night for another pair. I'm going to make a blue pair. I hardly ever knit with blue. I don't know why. I think when I was growing up, it was everybody's favorite color. And I'm a very contrary person, and so I didn't want to like blue, but it's really nice. I think it really looks good on a lot of people. And this is Woolly Mammoth Fiber Co. Emma Robertson's company. She's in Northern Ireland, I think. I have published a pattern with her yarn last year. I did the Floating Blossom with her BFL Mash MDK. Love that yarn so much. This is a Cheviot and BFL. Let me look. It's right here, isn't it? I think I tucked it back here. Yes. Right. 50% BFL, 50% Cheviot. So it's a natural wool. There's no nylon in here. It's a sock yarn, but I think it seems maybe a little thinner than the Custome Woolen Mills. So I needed to swatch because the subtle differences of gauge make a big difference when you're working a small circumference. I just want to be sure that I'm not gonna end up with a mitten that's too small or too big. And yeah, so I'm just gonna knit a little bit of stockinette, probably for like an inch or two, and then I'll wash it and see what it does. I don't think I've used this yarn. I have a couple colors. This is an indigo dyed, naturally dyed colorway. I don't think it has a name because I think it's different every time she does it. Or maybe it has a name. But anyway, she's just had a baby, so she's not putting out a lot of yarn right now. But if you've got any of... I talked to one knitter on Instagram who had some of this, and that's what reminded me, oh yeah, I can make that. So I can use that yarn for my mittens. And I'm just excited to have another pair. I really like fingerless mittens. I have a bunch of store-bought pairs that... it's like for a while every single coat of mine had a pair in it, and it was just awesome. And then the next winter would come and all the coats would still have a pair of them in them when I started wearing them again. I was like, this is the best. But those, like, either I let lose one or I like destroy. I tend to destroy fingerless mittens like right here on the right hand in particular. I don't know what I'm doing, whether they're store-bought or handmade. And I have made a lot of them for other people. I think I only have any of them for myself. I've got the ones that got the original Zever pair when I knit that pattern, but that's a pattern that's white. The yarn is white, so I don't feel like I should take that one to work. I want to keep them nice, so I just need to knit another pair of them in some other color. Those ones also have a thumb cable because I just think it's so cute. Anyways, I need more pairs. I want I want there to be a pair in my coat, my winter coat, all the time. And then there needs to be a pair in this basket I carry around. It's kind of like my purse. Needs to be a pair in there. And so that I don't, because right now these are like the only ones I'm wearing and I have to go looking for them when I go outside. So I need more than one pair. Yeah. So I hope that if you're interested in the pattern, that you can buy it and make them right now so you can wear them this year. And They're so woolly. Very happy with those. The other things I have to talk about are just like, I wanted to say, I realized recently, it's my basket. I got this one before Christmas. I have a bunch of these. They're all hanging up above. I have a few bento bags, the little Japanese style fabric that looks like this. And you put your project in there and then you tie it up. And I realized that I need these because in this big basket, I had 3 sweaters and they were all kind of in there. And generally I don't have a lot of whips. I recently had like 7. I have like maybe 6 now or 5. And that's kind of a lot. And so they were all kind of in there tangling themselves up. And I realized that I need to have cloth bags to put them in. So what I started doing, and probably people already do this, but I thought that I would say it here, is that when I put a project away, I like fold it up so the yarn isn't tangled around it, because that kind of drives me nuts. And then I put the needles out so that I'm not going to drop stitches because the needles are visible, and I tie it up and then I put it in the basket. And so there's multiple projects in here, but they're all safe and tucked away. So I have this one and this one. I think I got these from Fringe Supply Co., which I don't believe is in business anymore, but I just ordered some linen ones from Etsy, and those ones are coming from Lithuania, and I ordered some from California. So I didn't mean to order a lot of them. I think I have maybe 6 coming, which is too much. But yeah, I think I'm going to do that from now on. And it was really nice when I was finishing up my Ghost Horses colorwork sweater that I had one of those to put them in, to put the sweater in so that it didn't get tangled up. Which leads me to nice transition into the fact that I finished my Ghost Horses. So this sweater I started I think it was the August of 2020. I had bought the yarn a long time before that. The pattern came out way before that, and I just took a break. It was hard to get through the horse section, and then once I did, I think I took a break, and I was working on a lot of color work projects at the time. I thought, now I need a break, and that turned into a really long time. What I really like about Cailtin Hunter's patterns, at least I think the few that I've made, is that when you do the ribbing, you decrease like a significant amount of the stitches. So it kind of just gives this like nice little pucker, which will take like a boxy shape like this and just give it a little bit of a pull in, which for my more straight bodied figure suits me really well, because otherwise I think this would have felt too big. I haven't tried it on since I finished the second sleeve. I don't know if you ever get scared when you're done and you're like, I don't want to try it on in case I have to take something out and do it over. But I weaved all the ends in, so I'm like, I'm done. So I hope it's okay, and I haven't blocked it yet because I obviously need to try it on first before I block it. But and also my gauge must be so much looser or whatever it was. I didn't follow exact gauge. I went gauge rogue, which is I kept having to go up in needle size. I think it's a fingering weight yarn, and I used a 7. So I don't know what it is about my differences between her gauge and mine, but man, I always have to go up really, really high. So I think next time if I knit one of hers, I'm just going to use a thicker yarn, because I think that would help. Gauge is very mysterious. Anyways, so I did way less repeats of this. I think in the pattern it says for long sleeves, which were elbow length in the picture. It's like knit for 12 inches. And I knit for like 3, and I was done because it hits right at the top of my elbow. So I was like, okay. that went fast. I finished the sleeve really quickly, so I'm happy with the colors. These are Spincycle Yarns. It's the same yarn that was suggested in the pattern. I think it's the gray is their wilder base in the light gray color, and then the dyed in the wool sport weight base in Nostalgia. So I had some yarn left over, which is perfect. I always want to have yarn left over. So follow me on Instagram if you want to see me block this thing and try it on. But I need to do it alone in case I have problems. Feel sad about it. Anyways, that is kind of my little spiel for this week. And I've been doing a sweater grading class. I had that baby sweater I think I showed, but I think I'm not going to publish that or do anything with it, which means I really don't have anything on the books right now. I got really pulled into a bunch of different stuff at the beginning of this year. So once the pattern is out, the mitten pattern is out on Saturday, then I think I'll pick up that shawl I have with the Lopi. I still haven't finished swatching it. Make those decisions and then get that going. And I think I'll try to get another sweater idea going, because the goal is for this year is to release a sweater. It's just a lot of work. I graded this mitten pattern for 5 sizes. I've been thinking a lot about grading. I graded a mitten pattern in my first year of designing and a couple sock patterns, but I hadn't graded anything since then. So I just been thinking about it a lot. And when I was doing the final revision for this pattern, after all of my testers had given me their feedback and everything, I just went over this pattern with a fine-tooth comb. So I wanted to make sure that it was as helpful as possible and as clear as possible. So as probably my biggest hand-holding pattern out there, there's so many tips on how to be successful in knitting these. Probably overkill. Like I felt like there's just too much here. The bare bones of the pattern is not that complicated. There's just a lot in there. I made a whole tutorial. It's like 20 minutes on various parts of the mitten making process so that everybody had a visual. I did a second short row tutorial that was really more in depth for anybody who really needs to see like a really close up bulky video of me doing German short rows. And I loved getting my feedback from my testers because they all said totally different things, which was just like amazing. It's so amazing to see or read about people's experiences, because I asked really specific questions this time. I was like, what did you think of this section? And did you have a hard time with this? And did you, people just was like so much variety in what people said. Some people said this was hard for me. Other people were like, nope, didn't even notice it. So it was like, oh, wow. I just am amazed that we're all so unique. And so I tried to accommodate all the feedback I got for all the different kinds of knitters that would be out there. There is a chart in it for the thumb gusset. And I also wrote out those directions. So if you like following written directions as opposed to charts, that's in there. Like I said, lots of video tutorials. Anyways, please pop on to Ravelry or on my website and give this pattern a purchase, and I'll see you next time. Bye.